Welcome to Creativ8 Viz. Viz is really a add-on tool, and UI element for Creativ8. And the entirety of Creativ8 has a lot of different, ways that you can look at data, and a lot of different ways to look at them in a spreadsheet view, or look at them in various interfaces and things like that. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at your data. But we realize that data is so critical to be able to visualize for a game designer. You want to be able to see what relates to what builds into what, things like that. And while you can build a mind map or you can build things in another tool, the problem is then you're constantly keeping these things updated. You might build out a mind map or a flow chart or some kind of visualization in Visio or Miro or some other tool, but then if you change the name of something, you delete something, you move something, whatever, you got to go back there and do it again and again. You got to keep them updated, and that's the bane of the existence of a lot of game designers. So what if you didn't have to do that? What if everything was real data? What if you could build your mind maps? What if you could come into what your game is and see, well, how do these things relate? How does this thing maybe relate to, this thing down here? So maybe you want this to connect to that. Maybe this event is, connecting over to this event here. Why can't you just, drag and drop and build relationships, and see what flows are? So this is kind of similar to even how like blueprints work, in Unreal or something like that, where you can really kind of see and drag things around and move things around and build the relationships with them, and build out new stuff to really very quickly see. But now the difference is that all this data, all these names is actually data in the database. This is all stuff. So if I change the name of player one and I change it to Fred, Fred is now propagated throughout the entirety of the game. Every reference to player one, every reference to Fred, is updated and changed. This is real data in a single place, right? And so the advantage here is that you can really outline and figure out where is my game, where is all my stuff, where are my characters, right? And so I can come in here and figure out, is this data, working in conjunction with my current stuff? You can sit here and work in Creativ8 and have these charts built for you. You can have AI build the chart for you. There's lots of ways to kind of think about how data works. So the overall interface of this is very seamless. It's very user friendly. It's designed to be something that people will kind of understand how to build. But you can keep expanding out the data. And it's very pretty and easy to kind of use. You got icons and things to kind of show like, where is my player? I can see the path of my player, see where he's going, see how things are flowing. I can see and focus on, and sort out just the stuff I need to see. I can, focus on more visuals. I can focus on more gameplay and see a mix of things. And so it allows me to kind of very quickly kind of come in and see the stats and see how stuff interrelates, right? You can look at your characters. You can see how your characters flow. You can, figure out the relationships, figure out where these things go. But, figure out like where's the factions of my characters? Who belongs to what? Is somebody, related to the player? Is somebody, in the same faction as the player? Is it a different faction? Who belongs to what? Like, right? And then what are the relationships of these things? Are they hostile, neutral, friendly to each other? And be able to see what all these things look like. And so whether you're an artist or a game designer, you can start to see the relationships. You can build out family trees. You can kind of start to see, how that works. But what's really cool is the whole system is also designed to be more similar to a RPG. So any game designer who's ever played an RPG, everything's basically a container. So I can sit and drag and drop my items, my weapons, all those kind of things. I can build out my characters and my skills, my abilities, all those things through a very easy to use visual interface. And so it just allows me to really visualize, what is my whole game? How is it going to work? How is it going to flow? And what do I need to do to make this, really work, right? You can zoom in any time and kind of see more depth. I can come in here and see the levels, and see how the game is flowing. I can flow everything together. I can put in branching paths. I can put in optional paths, hubs and spokes, open worlds, any kind of those things. But I can also change it over time. I can come in here and change this and see how the events shift over time. And so I can also kind of guesstimate and ballpark how is the players, experience going to change? How's the world going to change? How's the story events going to change? How's everything going to change as the game progresses, right? And that's a really important thing to be able to come in here and see and understand how the world is, see what the factions, are doing, see, maybe how this group's going to attack this group, or maybe this, faction nukes another territory and takes out this thing, and this whole world disappears. And you can simulate all of that. You can simulate where the player can go, all that kind of stuff over time. Creativ8 also can generate maps. You can also come in here and using the data, you can generate kind of rough maps. Because right now it's not super important to have a super accurate thing. You're starting to build relationships. You're starting to understand, where is this map? Where is this place? How big is this? Is this a single building I'm playing in? Am I playing in an entire world? Am I playing in an entire universe? Creativ8, can scale from building out entire galaxies all the way down to a single building or a single room. And so it scales to kind of everything, but allows you to, again, to kind of see and visualize, where is everything? What's happening in my world over time? And you can start to build those relationships and start to see, where are these things happening? Where is the events happening? Where are the quests happening? But even things like a city, it's just another set of container, like building in a character in an RPG. I can drag and drop things into a city. I can drag and drop buildings, vendors, whatever it is, people, factions, and I can kind of start to build those relationships to kind of see where they are. And you can see it kind of at its peak that, there is a tremendous amount of stuff that Viz allows you to visualize. And it's really, up to you to decide, do you want a very simple, UI, or do you want something that's going to be very complicated? Do you want something that's going to be deep and show a tremendous amount of visualization, or do you want to just kind of focus in on a particular area? And so you can kind of, zoom in and out and kind of see, what makes sense for you to understand. But you can start to visualize and understand, how and where the player is going to move. What is he going to experience? How do these things all relate over time? So that's just a really high level peek at Viz. We're still prototyping this out. We're still trying to get this all sort of working, but this will kind of give you a sense for what Viz is and why it's so cool.